Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back. Today we are going to be continuing my makeup collection series, and today we're talking about specifically eyeshadow palettes. The last video was about single eyeshadows, which I will of course link in the description box. Prior to that we talked about blushes, bronzers, foundation, powder. Again, all of that will be linked down below, but let's go ahead and get started. So let's start out with the smaller palettes. This one is the Physicians Formula matte collection quad eyeshadow in Quartz Quartet. I'm not going to swatch all of this because that would be a lot of swatching. I may swatch a favorite shade here or there, but anyway, this is a really good basic matte eyeshadow quad. However, I think that this might actually be discontinued, so don't get your hopes up if you're wanting to find this, but they have a couple of other shades too. I think the Physicians Formula is kind of revamping their whole line of products, at least from what I've seen, so it looks like they're coming out with a lot of new things, so they may have discontinued this already. You may still be able to find it. I think I found it at Ulta like a couple years ago, but my favorite shade in here is this kind of rosy medium brown. I love that as a transition color or just as a soft crease color. This is another great shade. It's just a matte kind of cream color. Great for highlighting the brow bone, great for just kind of blending everything all together. And then you've got like a deeper charcoal shade right there. This shade right here I don't really use a ton. It's kind of like a light blue tone gray. I still haven't really figured out how to use that. I guess I could just use it as a lid shade, but it's not really a color that I love, so that's the one shade that I don't use a ton in this palette, and then I'll go ahead and swatch that too. There's that rosy kind of neutral brown. They aren't like the most pigmented shadows in the world, but they're pretty good. So I really enjoy using that. They're very powdery though, so that is one downside. This is another palette that you can no longer get your hands on, unfortunately, so I won't talk too much about it, but it's the Wet n Wild Smoke and Melrose palette. This was a 5-pan limited edition palette back in like 2014. This was in a project pan of mine. I already completely used up this shade. I love this like matte mauve color, and then you've got like a deep burgundy, just a shimmery taupe, and then a coppery gold shade. Beautiful palette for the fall. Probably one of my favorite palettes that Wet n Wild has put out, and I really wish that it had not been limited edition because it is a really amazing palette. And this, by the way, was like a pale shimmery pink. Forgot to mention that. But anyway, there's that one. Also from Wet n Wild, this is their Comfort Zone palette. You've probably heard about it. Does anyone know, because I know that Wet n Wild is going to be launching like a whole new line of eyeshadow palettes, a ton of new products, and so I don't know what that means for their older palettes, the ones that have been out for years like this one. I think that they are just kind of repackaging it and maybe redoing some of the shades from what I've seen. I'm not sure though. If anyone knows more information about that, please let me know in the comments. But this is the Comfort Zone palette. I really enjoy this palette. Now it is all shimmer, so that is one downside. Back in high school, like I used to wear like only shimmery eyeshadows, so that wouldn't have bothered me back then, but now I do like to have some mattes here and there, so I can't really get a complete look out of this unless I'm just doing like a one shadow look, which I often do, a one shadow look with like just this brown crease shade. I just kind of blend it all over the lid and into the crease. These shadows are very pigmented. You've probably heard, you know, Wet n Wild really does make some amazing eyeshadows, so this is a great kind of basic neutral palette, but you do get some kind of fun shades. Like this definer shade right here is like a duo tone bluish like brown. It's like, it's really weird. I don't know how to describe it, but that one is really pretty. Whoops. There's that one. You can see it's like in the light it reflects blue, but then you can also see like a reddish brown as well. So really interesting. You've got some greens and then just some basic browns and bronze. So this is a great palette, and I believe it's under $5. Now I don't know, again, if this will still be available when they launch their new line of products, but hopefully they'll at least keep a similar palette in that collection. Okay, last thing from Wet n Wild, because I know I'm talking about them to death, but this is their Fergie eyeshadow palette. This is a palette that I actually picked up at the Dollar Tree It has 10 shades in it, so 10 shadows for $1. I thought that was just a really good find, and it's actually a pretty good palette. It's just kind of some basic everyday shades. You do get some mattes, which is really nice. You've got mattes and shimmers. Now again, I don't think that this is available anymore, sadly, so again, I won't talk too much about it, but I do really enjoy this. Some of the shades are kind of duds. Like, I know I really had to do some building with the gold and like the copper. Those just didn't really show up too well. But then like this matte, like light brown is great for the crease. Love that one. Love this shade right here. It's really interesting, like silvery taupe. Yeah, so I do get a lot of use out of this palette. It's a nice, just everyday neutral palette. Okay, and then my two high-end palettes. This one is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I've talked about it many times, but I do really enjoy this. It's great for fall, of course, but I mean, it's great year-round. Great mix of neutrals, and then you also get these really deep reds and warm tones. You've probably heard this talked about a lot on YouTube, so I don't need to talk too much about it, but really, really high quality here. I mean, this is probably the highest quality eyeshadow palette I own. Of course, like you just saw, I do have a lot of cheaper drugstore shadows because that's just what's within my budget, but this is beautiful. I wore it for a couple of friends' weddings, actually. I had two friends who got married this fall, and it was just the perfect fall wedding palette. I did do a video on the look that I did with that if you're interested. But yeah, anyway, love this palette, and as far as high-end palettes go, it's a little bit cheaper. It was $42, which a lot of high-end palettes are $50, $60, sometimes even more. So it is a little bit cheaper than some other high-end palettes, but I mean, the quality is so there. So love that one. One of my all-time favorites for sure. And then last but not least, this is the Balm Nude palette. This one isn't quite as popular as their Nude, but when I was trying to pick between the two, I kind of just liked the color selection better with this one. I like that it's a little bit more, actually I guess it's kind of just a mix between some warm and some cool, but overall it's pretty neutral. I love this shade called Flirty. One of my favorite eyeshadows. It's like a purple with gold shimmer, so it's like a duotone situation going on there. Love that one. I love Feisty. It's a matte, light, kind of brownish mauve. Beautiful as a transition color. All of these are just gorgeous. You've got a matte cream shade to use to highlight the brow bone, which I always appreciate. You do have some deeper tones, so you can make like a nice smoky eye if you're into that. If you're into shades like this, I definitely recommend it. It is gorgeous, and a lot of times you can find this on sale. Like, I think I only paid like $18 or $20 for it because I found it on Haute Look. The Balm they do sell on Haute Look every now and then, so definitely check if you're interested in their products, because you can get them like 50% off on there. So anyway, there's that. So anyway, those are all of my eyeshadow palettes. I know it's a pretty small collection compared to a lot of people. I don't have a ton, and I kind of like it that way. I like to know exactly what I have, so I know what I'm picking from, and I think that this is a pretty good size collection for me. Let me know if you have tried any of these products, and if so, what you thought of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.